Welcome everybody to On the Ice, brought to you by Pembina, Source for Sports, and Caisse Financial Group. On today's show, we welcome the 5th commissioner of the SIJHL. He's no stranger to Thunder Bay, as well as the minor hockey and all of the programs that he has been involved with over his 30 years or over 30-year career. A Lakehead graduate, a gentleman of the business sector, and a great person to have leading the SIJHL into these uncertain times and these fluid times, this upcoming development camp season of the summer as well as the fall. Please welcome Darrin Nicholas, of the new commissioner of the SIJHL. Darrin, I want to say Nicholson because it's just like Team Canada, but it's not. It's Darrin Nicholas. Congratulations on being appointed earlier this month, the 5th commissioner out of the 19-year history of the SI. What did that mean to you when you got that call saying you've been given this position?
Yeah, it was pretty humbling, actually. You know, I'm following in the footsteps of some really significant builders in the hockey category in Thunder Bay and Northwestern Ontario. So to see my name added to that list was pretty satisfying, to be honest with you. They're people that you know, I've had a chance to interact with and seek advice from over the years, and really admire. Truth be told, and now to be included in that group is pretty cool.
So, Darrin, you're very well known in the Thunder Bay community. Those that are watching or being able to watch around the SI, who is Darrin Nicholas?
Yeah, well, he's a guy that you know, loves being around the game of hockey, loves being in the rinks, and you know, either I was in a rink for most of my adult life in the wintertime, or I was wishing I was in a rink in a few seasons where I couldn't participate because of my professional commitments. So, you know, I've been a Thunder Bay guy, born and raised, educated throughout my whole life. Played pretty much all my hockey here in Thunder Bay. Not at a very high level, but got into the coaching as soon as my playing career came to an end, and really found that you know, I had a passion for leadership, passion for developing young players, and really just kind of passing on things that my mentors were able to do with me in my formative years, and I really got a thrill out of being able to carry that forward and do the same with the people that followed me.
That's awesome. No, you talk about your professional career and your involvement within the business sector. How important is it, Darrin, to be a Thunder Bay native, a city or a town that has 2 of the 7 teams potentially for next year, working towards, you know, building and strengthening and developing the SIJHL? Not only just imagine if there wasn't these times ahead of us, but in normal times as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Thunder Bay is, you know, is a central hub for, you know, for Northwestern Ontario. It's a destination spot for a lot of the outlying communities. Certainly, it's a key geographic area for the Superior International League, with now 2 franchises being domiciled here. So, you know, it's easy access to all the teams that are coming in. Although, you know, maybe what I'm looking forward to most is getting out into our member communities and into the rinks there, and you know, talking with sponsors and fans and stuff like that. So, but you know, when they were searching for the next commissioner, you know, they really wanted to open it up and not just pick the best guy in Thunder Bay, but maybe pick the best guy that was available to them. And you know, it happened that I was located in Thunder Bay, so it seems a pretty good fit.
Talk about the domiciled teams. Has that been decided already, or is there any chance of having all 7 teams available to play in the fall?
Yeah, there is. We're holding out hope for that, for sure. You know, obviously with you know, the 2 U.S. based teams, pardon me. You know, and watching closely. The decision came down earlier this week at the Major League Baseball level as it impacted the Blue Jays and stuff like that. So we're kind of looking at that and saying, well, if we if Major League Baseball can't influence the provincial or the federal government to open the borders, it's likely that a junior hockey team league is not going to be able to do that either. So, we're resigned to being at the mercy of the legislators and what they decide to do with the border. We're seeing real a contrast in what's happening kind of north and south of the border. We seem to be trending in the direction that's very positive, and the same can't be said of the states down in the south as well. So the longer the border remains closed, the less likely it's going to be that we can field a team. And really, what our U.S. based teams are looking at, I mean, they're passionate people. They're very proud of and rightfully so of what they're accomplishing in their communities. And they don't want to just throw together a roster just for the sake of icing a team and not be competitive. So we want to try and find that mix. Where we can be respectful to them and try and give them every opportunity they can. But at the same time, they're coming back to us and saying, look, let's not handcuff the league from operating, just trying to see what happens with the US based teams. So, we can hold a schedule with our 5 Canadian based teams, but our preference obviously would be to have all 7 franchises involved and playing internationally.
Of course, we've seen, like you said, you mentioned the Blue Jays not opening the borders for any teams and having to do that quarantine. We have about a month and a half still before camps, programs really start beginning in the SI. Do you think in that 6 weeks we'll have an opportunity to see individual players join Canadian rosters, potentially not fielding just a team in the United States, but I mean, there are some American players that may play on these Canadian teams?
Yeah, the feedback that we've got is that we shouldn't expect to have access to any import players. The rules for cross-border travel are pretty straightforward. You have to have a tie to a landed immigrant or a Canadian citizen, and it's got to be a direct family member. So wanting to join there. I think the exemption that the Blue Jays were trying to go after was just if you can prove that crossing the border wouldn't introduce any exceptional risk to the population, and that was the clause that they got shut down on. So again, what we've been told is if the regulations change, we can adapt to it, but we shouldn't be planning to have any import players or non-Canadians on our rosters this year.
Okay, so we'll take a quick break here, Darrin. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about the fall and the including vision that you see as commissioner of the SI. Stay with us here on the ice.
At Collins Hotel, we have you and your family's comfort in mind. Relax in one of our 16 suites featuring king or queen-size beds and 36-inch TVs. Suites also include a mini fridge and other kitchen appliances to make your stay as comfortable as possible. During your stay in Pilot Mound, visit Weiser's Restaurant, our attached family-friendly restaurant and bar. It is the perfect location to host group meals, dine with the family, or unwind after a hockey game. Come in and meet our friendly staff offering daily specials on food and drinks, wing night Wednesdays, buffet Fridays, and multiple TVs to watch the game. Weiser's is the place to be. Collins Hotel and Weiser's Restaurant and Bar, located across the street from Blackjack Stewart Arena off Highway 3 in Pilot Mound.
Chatting with the fifth commissioner of the SIJHL, Mr. Darrin Nicholas. Darrin, some interesting times we're obviously seeing border issues. We're seeing Health Canada step in. A lot of different things you probably weren't ready for if taking this position, or were you kind of looking forward to the challenge?
Well, I mean, this was the case when I started pursuing the role and talking with the SIJHL people. So, I knew the circumstances in going into the role. Look, there's only 9 other people across the country that have a job description the same as mine. So, these types of positions don't come up every day. So, the opportunity to get involved at this level presented itself during this unusual time. And, I suppose if we had the opportunity to pick and choose and write the script, I'd have wrote it a little bit different. But, nonetheless, here we are, and it's a learning experience for all.
So what do we have to look forward to come the fall? Staggered time, development camps. Has anything been set up for the SI for the 5 Canadian teams?
Yeah, we're just working through that, presently, just to see kind of what that looks like. So Ontario released phase 3 of the reopening came into effect just this past Friday. It was announced earlier in the week, last week. So, it took us a little bit to understand what that means for hockey. And while it certainly is encouraging, we don't see it as an environment under which we're going to be able to operate viable hockey franchises, with those restrictions. And specifically, what we're dealing with is, they want to restrict the amount of participants in a league to 50 players, So, and what that means is, what I understand is that, we can put our league into groups of 50 and we can have several groups, but basically the groups just compete amongst themselves and there's to be no kind of cross-pollination between them. So, if we start siloing our groups into 50, I mean, essentially that becomes two hockey rosters limitations. So, is it realistic to say, well, we're going to play a 40 game schedule and just it's going to be 40 games with the same 2 teams? So clearly that's not anything that we can operate under. The second limitation is just the indoor gathering size, which was increased from 10 to 50. So, that would apply at this stage under phase 3 to our capacity in the arenas. And certainly we rely on fans in the stands coming to support the teams. We're not the NHL that has a bunch of sponsorship and TV revenue coming in. So we really need to have people in the stands. So to operate in a model that is going to restrict us to 50 people in the building is just not something that's viable. Having said that, we are seeing positive signs. So really what the guess is when will restrictions further loosen? And what will those be if and when they loosen? So, at this stage, we have no active cases in Northwestern Ontario. So I think we've probably had a total of under 200 cases total since the pandemic started in Northwestern Ontario. And even that might be a little generous, but all of them have been resolved. So that's very, very positive. What I'm being told is kind of the next milestone is going to be to closely observe, any return to school for the students and stuff like that. So, if we can get through that without really a spike in cases, then that'll look really positive for us to start contemplating the start of a season.
I got to ask you this question, Darrin. Are you sick of hearing the word fluid? This is a fluid situation. This is a fluid this. I mean, everyone describes it as a fluid, and rightfully so, because it changes daily, hourly, weekly. I mean, we get information from Hockey Canada. We get information from our provincial health departments and public health departments. I got to ask you, maybe not the fall, but when those phases start increasing to 3 and 4, are we potentially going to see, do we see hockey in 2020, 2021?
Yeah, we think so. We've been in touch with our members of parliament and provincial parliament members and representatives here, and what they're telling us is that unlikely that we're going to start on time, but certainly that the season should not be considered to be in jeopardy at this point. So, we're taking that with a bit of optimism and trying to understand, okay, what does that mean, and trying to get our head around, when should training camp start? Theoretically right now, subject to ice time availability, of which, most of the facilities don't have ice in them right now, but we could host a training camp under these circumstances. The coaches would have to modify their on-ice activities a little bit to comply with the restrictions, but as long as they keep it within 50 participants, they're free to start now. But the question is going to be, at what point do you bring your players in and form your team? Do you want to do that maybe months ahead of when you're actually going to start play? So those are all the things we're trying to figure out.
It's going to be, if there was the opportunity to have hockey in the fall, it's going to be quick and short development camps. But like you had mentioned, we're not seeing that potentially. Let's look a little further in the future. Let's get into the Peabody going forward position. We talk about growth and development. How do we grow the game or grow the SIJHL amongst the communities in Northwestern Ontario and develop a strength that really proves that this area, this geographical area, is being a good breeding ground for good hockey prospects?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got a fairly unique situation with the international basis to it as well, and I think we've got a really good story to tell. If you look at our existing franchises now, quality people involved with them, stability has been there. So many of our franchises are now into the 10-year mark or greater. So there hasn't been really that constant turnover that we've had, and the ones that we have now have really built a model for success. So the trick is now finding the right people to be involved in the right communities that makes sense for the team. But again, I think we've got a pretty compelling story to tell about the success of the franchise that are operating now, and maybe that brings a little bit of comfort or a little bit of certainty, I guess, to somebody that's considering starting a franchise from scratch.
No, it's a great program. It's a great breed of hockey in Northwestern Ontario. It's lots of fun. The battles of Thunder Bay. I was looking forward to seeing Cam River and Thunder Bay go at it, and I know you're probably looking forward to those two teams busting it out and leaving it out on the ice, I'm sure. Darrin, when it comes down to it, how important is hockey, especially the SIJHL, to Northwestern Ontario and the northern states involved?
Yeah. I had two sons come up and play through hockey, and both of them had spent time in the Saskatchewan Junior League, and in fact, my youngest son was playing out in Yorkton at the time of the bus crash. And what the world learned at that time was about small town Saskatchewan, and specifically the Humboldt Broncos. But what I was telling everybody at that time was that you can pretty much take every team in that league and every community in that league, and they feel the same way about their team. It's a real important fabric of their community. And my sense is that you can say the same thing of our franchises in the Superior International League. I'm learning quickly here about the passion of the people that have made the commitment to run these teams. I'm learning quickly about how important they are in the community and the status that the teams hold in the communities. And I'm hearing also from players that have graduated from teams in our program about their experience, and it's been very positive stuff. So hockey is a big deal in small town Canada. We like to think that we're the hockey region, if you will. Certainly Thunder Bay's gained a reputation as hockey town, but I think if you expand and look throughout the region, we've got a pretty good success of producing high-level hockey players, and it's just a great part of the world to compete in.
Perfect. Let's go back to when you were a young star. Who did you look up to in your days of playing and coaching as being someone you wanted to be as a role model and looked up to?
Yeah, well, like my playing days, I'm of around the same age group as Tony Herkus was a year or two ahead of me. So to kind of watch what he was able to accomplish through his career was really exciting to watch. Going back a little bit younger than that, I remember walking into a store one day and my dad pointing out that this was Trevor Johansson, in the mid to late 70s, who cracked the Maple Leafs lineup, and that was a real big deal because we only had one hockey game a week on Saturday nights, and it was usually a Toronto Maple Leafs game. So to draw the connection between watching a guy like Trevor Johansson play on every Saturday night and then see him in the local Zellers store and have my dad point him out was kind of pretty cool. So from there, and then you just look at the people in the community that have done a lot for coaching. A gentleman by the name of Larry Wintoniak had coached me when I was coming up through minor hockey and had a big influence on me. And Larry was the guy that kind of gave me my first break in my coaching career to get me involved with him and the Thunder Bay Flyers team. I've had the good fortune of getting to know Dave Siciliano fairly well over the last few years since he's been back in Thunder Bay. And Dave was a coach of mine, and you can't help but set him as as a measuring stick, if you will, in terms of what he's been able to accomplish in the coaching world. And he's been really generous with his expertise back with the Superior International League and sharing that to try and help make it better. So there's just a couple of examples of people that have influenced me over the years.
How did you know you were going to get into the coaching realm, and when did that become like not just a hobby, but something you wanted to experience more than just a hobby?
Yeah, I mean, it started with my father-in-law is one of a handful of NHLers, and so my wife, now of 26 years, I believe, was my girlfriend at the time, and I just stopped playing, and her father is Lou Marcon, and Lou had played about 60 games, and I've got some old team photos of him with the Detroit Red Wings and Gordie Howe and with those guys. And so Lou was kind of the big minor hockey coach in Thunder Bay, and I'd competed against some of his teams when I was playing. And when I stopped playing, he just immediately invited me to come and be involved with the team he was coaching, which was a predecessor to the Thunder Bay Kings. And we really complemented each other really well, because I'd played for some kind of real technical coaches, and this is getting back to the late 80s, where Lou was a coach where his players would have chewed broken glass for him. I mean, he was that type of guy that players would want to lay everything down for him, but he wasn't too big on the X's and O's. So I was able to kind of come in with kind of more of a modern philosophy and meld the motivation that he would bring into a bit of a strategy and X's and O's with that. And so, I had the good fortune of coaching with him for a number of years to start my career. And then, he just retired from coaching, and I just didn't really have an outlook on what the next phase was going to look for me. And, had a few people that were, involved in high level hockey looking for some help in coaching. And the phone kept ringing, and out I came. And just to reiterate, kind of the big break came when there was a change of coaching. So Thunder Bay used to have a franchise in the United States Hockey League called the Thunder Bay Flyers. And, Larry Wintoniak was named a mid-season head coach of the team. And just the day after he was appointed, my phone rang, and it was Larry asking if I'd be interested in coming to work with his team. And so that was really kind of the break that got me from a group of really good young coaches into maybe a guy that might be near the top of the group, and was a catalyst for my coaching career. So just kind of took it a year at a time, and it kind of bounced between the junior team and the midget AAA team at the time. for most of the 90s. And then at that time, I'd started my own family. So my oldest son was born in 95. My youngest was in 99. And I just decided that it's time to be a dad for a bit. So I'd kind of, stopped coaching. And that was the year around 2000, I believe, was the year I stopped coaching. And then that was the year the Lakehead Thunderbolts had revived their team. So, they operated the first season, had tremendous success. I had a couple of friends that were involved in the staff there whom I'd worked with previously. And then they started talking to me about being involved with their program. And so I went back for my first season with them, was their second year in existence. I said, look, I can do practices, I can do home games, I'll be the eye in the sky, but I'm not going to travel with the team. So I did 1 year like that, and then they approached me after the first season. I was with them and said, look, we'd like you to be more involved. We want you behind the bench. We'd like you to travel with the team and stuff. So I decided to accept that, and then had a 10-year run under those circumstances. So it was a lot of fun.
Minor hockey in Thunder Bay, university hockey in Thunder Bay. You've left both of them. You're now the new commissioner of the next level. I mean, that upper level that's going to occur for these young players. As the new commissioner, what do you want to see happen within the league under your tenure?
Yeah, well, as alluded to before, we want to grow the league, so we want to have more teams. But we want to get ourselves back into a spot where we're on the stage and in the conversation for competing at a national level tournament. So a lot of good things happening in the league. It's been a number of years since we've had a Dudley Hewitt Cup champion and had a league representative at the formerly RBC Cup, now Centennial Cup again. So certainly, we want to have that level of respect around the country that that gets us into the national championship. And to do that, we're going to have to concentrate on the experience that the players are having when they're in our league. We want to seek feedback from those players as well, because we think if players can come to our league, have a good experience, that's going to be our best recruiting tool. So what can we do to within reason to make their experience better, and therefore help them improve and help our franchises attract the very best of talent to the league.
Growing and strengthening the league on your agenda, number one. Building those relationships within the small communities, I think, number two. Darrin Nicholas, I want to thank you very much for taking some time today to help us, at least shine a little bit of light on the SI, because like you said, we got to get you guys back in the mix. We got to get that Dudley Hewitt, and we got to get you, that opportunity to work towards national championships. So I want to thank you for your time. Good luck. Congratulations. And we hope to see hockey return to the ice sooner than later. Thanks,
Theo. It's been my pleasure.
Awesome. Darrin Nicholas, the new commissioner of the SI. What is the SI always? I always mix that up. It's always a tongue twister to me. It's the
Superior International
Junior Hockey League. I always say the SI, and it's like they think of it as a joint, but it's the SIJHL. Darrin, thank you again. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. You too.
This has been Theo here on Amateur Sports TV on the ice. Check out Coffee with Graham Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. Have a great rest of the evening, and thank you for watching. Take care.